Well, he's out there now. It does not look very pleasurable out there, Aaron.
It's not. That's just simply put. It is not good to be out, especially in outlying areas. We're just off Rockton Avenue here, a little bit to the north of Elmwood. Just look at the blowing and drifting. This is what we've been talking about with this. It's such a fine snow. It's almost like sand, and it continually goes over the roadways, making for an icy, slick commute for anybody who's going to be getting out on this. I understand there's some folks that just have to get to work, have places to go. But this is going to be the scene that we're going to see here throughout the course of the day. Look at some of those drifts. You know, we didn't get as much snow as we originally expected. It doesn't really seem to matter when you get over here and really measure up just how large the drifts can be on the side of these roadways, especially in outlying areas. And this isn't something that just happens in the open fields. We've seen this in some of the well-traveled thoroughfares too as we made our way out here for you this morning. So caution is going to be key. You know that. Certainly if you do live out in the country, you understand those areas that are prone to see the blowing and drifting. But just incredible to see those nearly 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts and how it just whips this sand-like snow across all surfaces. We're going to get much more live coverage for you coming up here throughout the course of the morning. By the way, I should mention, if you are going to be out, things can happen. You can get flat tires. You could have a deer dot out in front of you. You're tempting fate if you're out on the roadways for any extended period of time. It's just that simple. The temperatures are brutally cold, and the winds, as you can plainly see here with our live pictures, yeah, not the most desirable day weather-wise at all. We're live on Rockton Avenue, just north of Rockford. We'll have much more. Our first alert coverage continues. Back to you.
Some roads are really starting to get more and more treacherous as those winds continue to howl. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Mark. Yes, we are here on Rockton Avenue, just a little bit to the north of Elmwood Road. You can plainly see just how tall and lofty these drifts are. Look at that. Look at the tip of this. Eric, come back over here. Check this out. I mean, this is the type of thing that's happening here. We'll just give that a little pop there. Off it comes. You can look back down at my truck here and plainly see that snow that continues to just wisp across the roadway. And here's the thing. You'll be going, everything will be fine. There's no problems, no issues. And then all of a sudden, boom, here's the type of thing you're dealing with, that snow that just continuously comes over the roadways. So yes, outlying areas will be a huge concern for us here as we make our way through the day into tonight and tomorrow. This blowing and drifting, but this fine, fine snow is just going to continue for us here as long as those winds howl. And boy, when we stepped out of the vehicles this last time, are the winds really howling. We have seen those numbers clocked around the 40-mile-per-hour range. So this is something that is a major concern for folks who are going to be out on the roadways here today. Do take caution. I'm going to say it again. If you're venturing out, things can happen. Flat tires, animals, critters could jump out in front of you. You never know. Do take extra caution. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people just roll down this roadway at a high rate of speed. Take your time. Use caution. If you don't, you're truly tempting fate. Things can happen, folks. Do use extra caution out on the roadways. We're live here on Rockton Avenue. Again, blowing and drifting that continues for us. Woo! What a way to head in to the holiday weekend. You know, I was listening to Christmas tunes yesterday. There's so many of those lines I think we take for granted. I know where they came from now. I got a few in my head. I'll keep singing them to myself. We'll send it back to you. The snow is blowing. Back to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Good morning, Aaron.
Well, I just want to say this. Eric and I have talked this over. We've communicated several times yesterday into last night. We have a plan. We're not just out here, you know, willy-nilly and around. We've got all of our warmers in place. We're dressed appropriately. We are taking extreme caution on the roadways, but you should too, folks. By the way, I just want to say what a great job that the folks from Winnebago County have been doing. By the way, there's some plows going by here too live this morning. You can see those. We're on the Harlem Bridge, the Bauer Parkway. And this is something that gets very interesting. You think about how those temperatures tumbled yesterday. We were at 30 about this time at the Rock River Valley Blood Center, and then we fell to single digits at the noon hour. So you can plainly see here, right where the bridge starts, you go from salt working, no issues, to bam, kind of a slick glaze, iced over. If you're using those bridges and overpasses, please, extra caution. We talk about this all the time, but with this extreme cold, it's going to be tough for any of those agents, salt, brine, all that, to work and loosen up the icy conditions. Again, I can't stress enough how great of a job Winnebago County has been doing. We talked with some of them just moments before we got to this live shot. Unfortunately, they couldn't stay with us. We're going to pose the shot, have the plow behind us. They said, you know what, Aaron, we just don't have time today. We're really on a tight schedule. We want to get those roads taken care of, and we certainly salute them for that. So stay with us. We've got much more live coverage here out in the elements. We're prepared. We're safe. But if you don't have to be out in this, please do use all caution if you are out, or just stay in. We'll send it back to you live right here from Rockford. Just a few steps, we step over into McChesney Park. Hey, by the way, a little fun here. You never know where we're going to end up today. We'll shift into a little bit of fun. We'll make some fun out of the cold. It's coming up. Stay with us.
All right. Thank you, Aaron.
Hey, good morning, Andy. Good morning, Mark. And yes, we're trying to cover all of it for you. We started off the morning out in the country, rule setting, to see that blowing and drifting and just how intense that is. We moved to the bridges and overpasses. Now we're on one of those well-traveled thoroughfares. This is North 2nd Street in Harlem. Now, you mentioned how that snow just gets matted down. It's almost like sand. But look at this. This is where you would turn right to go onto Harlem off North 2nd Street. You can see just how icy that is, that shine that comes off there. Again, this is going to be an issue no matter what roadways that you're driving on. And, we mentioned that the outlying areas are more prone to the blowing and drifting. Absolutely. But with this type of wind, and as Mark said, those winds are going to continue to pick up. Right where I'm standing here in this parking lot, I'm watching snow continually wisp across the parking lot and right on out there to the intersection. So this is going to be maddening, I would imagine, for a lot of those crews. They're going to be out trying to take care of these roadways, as it's just going to be a continuous cycle of that snow overspreading onto the roadways. Again, we caution you, if you are going to be heading out and about, just take your time. We understand life doesn't come to a screeching halt, but slow down. And there are so many people this morning that we're seeing that aren't slowing down. Just going across the Harlem Bridge, somebody passing a snowplow. Come on. Really? Just take your time. There's signs on the back of those that tell you to stay behind the plow. I don't mean to be a person who's wagging the finger and doing the lecture here, but take some caution, please. It might go a long way for a lot of folks out here on the roadways. We're live in McChesney Park, North 2nd Street. Yes, indeed, Andy and Mark, we wanted to show you the Rock River here. There are going to be some concerns with ice jamming. In fact, I just got off the phone with Winnebago County Board member Keith McDonald. He actually lives on the river, pride and joy the Rock River. And we happen to be by the Harlem Bridge, the Bower Parkway, if you will. So you can see that ice that's starting to back up here at this particular bridge. But we're told up at the Latham Bridge, and you can look this information up, in just the last couple of hours, that part of the river has gone up 1.5 feet. So there is potential ice jamming taking place right now at the Latham Bridge. If you do live on any river property, not just the Rock, maybe the Pecatonica, Sugar, Kishwaukee, ice jamming is going to be a real issue for us here. I mean, you think about yesterday, we had 30-degree highs. It started in the morning, dropped off to single digits around the noon hour. So easy to see here that we do have that ice starting to jam. Again, this is the Harlem Bridge, and there is ice jamming potentially taking place right now at the Latham Bridge. I also want to show off here as I'm doing this live shot. I'm watching the landscaping over here, and it's frozen solid. It's brittle. It just cracks. It is so cold. In fact, we're starting to have some issues with our technology this morning, the electronics not cooperating with the cold conditions. So right now, I can't even hear you. We'll get this all figured out, though, coming up in just a little bit here. We're live in the midst of this major winter storm, and we'll get back to the roadways coming up here in just a bit. But again, ice jamming to be an issue for us here as we head through the next couple of days. You can plainly see it on the Rock River here at McChesney Park off the Bower Parkway. Much more coming up live in just a few more minutes. Back into the studio.